Well, hello, my young grasshoppers. I am going to be gone today, obviously. Staying home with the little monster, Miles. Here we go. This is what we were going to do in class anyway, so no big deal, but we have to do this here. Okay? So, give me a second here. Let me get rid of my ugly mug. Deuce's ugly mug. And we're going to look at a few problems here. Now, this first set, timeout. I apologize. Make sure you get out a piece of paper. Let's just scratch this marker board thing off here. So, if the sub could please pause the video and give the students enough time to get out a piece of paper. Also, make sure that they do have a calculator. All right. Now, this is our first set. This is the stuff we've been working on in this particular chapter. Okay, so if the sub would please pause the video. And, timeout. Sorry, I apologize. But this has quadratic formula, and I want to make sure you have the quadratic formula on here. It's negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a over 2a. Okay, I'm stopped. All right. Now, if the sub would please pause the video and give the students about 10 minutes to complete these four problems. All right. Factoring completely. So these first couple, I want you to notice that they don't have an equal sign. So no equal sign. I am just factoring. So magic numbers here. 4 times 3 is 12, adds up to negative 8. So I'm looking for numbers that multiply to be 12, add to be negative 8. If we look on our chart, we do need to use negative times a negative. This would be negative 2 and negative 6. Okay? We then divide by the a value. So divide by 4. Simplify the fraction, and then we're going to be able to write our two factors. Okay? So simplify the fraction. Negative 2 over 4 is negative 1/2. Okay? So bottoms up first. That's going to be 2n minus 1. The negative 6 over 4, that's negative 3 over 2. Bottoms up first, so that'd be 2n minus 3. And that is our factored form. Okay? Now, number 2, we might have forgotten, it's difference of squares. Difference of squares, you can go straight from there to your answer by using square roots. Square root of 49n squared is 7n. Square root of 144 is 12. So I put plus 12 and minus 12. Bada bing, bada boom. Now, the last two are solving. They have equal signs. There's quadratics that are being solved with equal signs. And do kind of remember what we talked about on Tuesday, Wednesday. When it says solve by factoring, what that's telling you is it is possible to get magic numbers. Now, this particular one, it already says equals 0. So it's ready to be started. So if I'm using factoring, 3 times 12 is 36. Adds up to be negative 20. And I'm going through the factors and I'm thinking, what are the magic numbers? Ooh. And the magic numbers are... Guys, I can't think right now. 2, negative 2, and negative 18. That took me a second. I apologize. Okay. Negative 2 times negative 18 is positive 36. If I add those, I get negative 20. So I got them. Oh, yeah. Divide by a. So that part's still the same. But remember, when we're solving, it has an equal sign in the problem. There's a quick shortcut to get to our solution. So I simplify the fraction. That is already simplified. So the solution is positive 2/3. Negative 18 over 3, that is negative 6. So the solution is positive 6. And I have my two solutions. The very last one, we would be using the quadratic formula. quadratic formula. All right. So we have a quadratic. It says equals 0, so that's good. Let's get our ABC. ABC, easiest 1, 2, 3. A is 6. B is -4. C is -24. Oh, yeah. Now, we're going to be plugging this A, B, and C numbers into this quadratic formula. Okay, so I start off negative of -b, so negative of -4, plus or minus square root b squared, so -4 squared minus 4 parentheses 6 parentheses -24 all over 2a. 2 times -20. Sorry, I apologize. Guys, I make mistakes sometimes. 2 parentheses 6. Now, give me a second here because I know this doesn't work out perfectly. And Mr. Malone needs to grab a calculator. So, I like to break this up into the 2 fractions. Remember, negative of -4, that's +4. So it's 4 plus something. 2 times 6 is 12. So over 12. And 4 minus something over 12. And now let's take care of this square root part. So remember, you got to type all that in. Don't type in the square root sign at first. So I have -4 in parentheses squared minus 4 parentheses 6 parentheses -24 on the calculator, and I get 592. Square root of 592, and I get 24.331. Rounding to the hundredths, so this is 24.33. Okay, now add these up. I get 28.33 divided by 12. 28.33 divided by 12. And I get 2.360. And we are going to round in a second. 4 minus 24.33 is -20.33 divided by 12. And I get -1.694. We're going to round that in a second. So our answers, our solutions for this one, x equals 2.36 and -1.69. Okay. Now, we're going to do a few more of these types of quadratic formula problems. Okay, so those are the answers. If I was going to be here, I was going to use that. Now, I want you to go ahead and pause the video. Now, listen, time out. I listed what the 2 answers, the final 2 answers are supposed to be this. So you're going to know right away when you get done if you're getting the right answer. Okay, but please pause the video and give the students 3 minutes to complete this problem. Now, this particular one, it is not ready to be solved yet. So if you did not get these, you could have done your quadratic formula correct. It's just you don't have the right ABC. We have to minus 9k on both sides. And then we have to put that in the correct order. The correct order is 8k squared minus 9k minus 5 equals 0. Now it is ready to solve. So my A is 8, my B is -9, and my C is -5. And if you didn't have that, you probably have the wrong answer. Okay, now plug it into the formula. Negative of -9 plus or minus the square root of -9 squared minus 4 parentheses 8 parentheses -5 all over 2 times 8. Okay, my 2 fractions that I'm going to have, negative times a negative, that is positive, so 9 plus something divided by 16 and 9 minus something. divided by 16. I just have to figure out what the something is. So I type that part in my calculator. Negative 9 squared minus 4, parentheses 8, parentheses negative 5. And I'm getting square root of 241. Now I do need to square root that. And I'm getting 15.524. So rounded, 4 less, let it rest, 15.52. And that's what goes here. Now we figure out our fractions. 9 plus 15.52 is 24.52 divided by 16. And I get 1.532. 9 minus 15.52 is negative 6.52 divided by 16. Divided by 16. And I get negative 0.407. And then we round. So my final answers. Okay, equals 4 less, let it rest, 1.53. And 5 or more, raise the score, negative 0.41. That's our two solutions. Okay, let's do the same thing, quadratic formula. So please pause the video and let students complete this problem. Now, this one already says equals 0, already says it. Now, I know you see it says no solution. Let's figure out why it was supposed to say no solution. So let's get our A, B, and C. A is 3, B is 1, C is 3. And I plug it into the quadratic formula. So I have negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 squared minus 4, parentheses 3, parentheses 3, all over 2 times 3. Now, when I go to write my two fractions, I would have negative 1 plus something over 6 and negative 1 minus something over 6. Well, we have to figure out what that something is. So I type this in. 1 squared minus 4 times 3 times 3. And I get negative 35. Guys, that's where the problem is. I cannot square root negative 35 in the set of real numbers. So you're going to get an error message if you try to type that in. Okay, my calculator says domain error. There's a reason why. Because there's nothing else to do. The answer is no. I prefer this word real solution. There are imaginary ones. There's just no real ones. Okay? All right. Last problem before we get to our review sheet. So please pause the video and give students 4 minutes to complete this projectile motion problem. All right, we have our formula here. So we need to plug our information in. So we have negative 16t squared. The initial height is 2. Well, that's the little h. And it says the initial velocity is 60. Well, that's the v. So we have that part. Okay. What we don't have here is a capital H. So I got to read this sentence. How long will the ball remain in the air? Well, I have to remember, it's going to remain in the air until it hits the ground. And the height of the ground is 0. So this is the formula that the equation that we're dealing with here in this particular problem. Okay. It is already equal to 0. So we can write down our A, B, and C. A is negative 16. B is 60. And C is 2. A, B, C. Easy as 1, 2, 3. And I do my quadratic formula. Negative 60 plus or minus square root of 60 squared minus 4 times negative 16 times 2 all over 2 times negative 16. Break up my two fractions. Negative 60 plus something divided by negative 32, and negative 60 minus something divided by negative 32. And I need to figure out the square root part. So let me type that in. 60 squared minus 4, parentheses negative 16, parentheses 2. And I'm getting 3,728. And I still need to square root that. So square root of that, I'm getting 61.057. 5 or more, raise the score, so it's 61.06. Okay, so I add, I get 1.06 divided by negative 32. And I'm getting negative 0.033. That'll get rounded in a second. The second one, I get negative 121.06 divided by negative 32. And I'm getting 3.783. Now remember, we're talking about a real thing. We do not measure time using negative seconds. So that one doesn't make any sense. So I have one correct answer, and that is t equals 3.78 seconds. Okay. Now, this is what you're going to need to do. You're going to get your final exam review sheet here today. Okay. So Sub's going to pass that out here in a little bit. On the back side of that are all of the answers. There's a couple of the problems, like 24 and 26 are left blank, but that's because those are like, the question is like, decide what variables you want to use and like show your work. So all the answers are there. Okay. I am giving you the exact version of the final exam with just different numbers. There's going to be different problems, but it's the exact same stuff. Okay, so remember, if you can do what's on this review sheet, you are going to do well on the final exam. Okay, we'll spend a lot of time next week going over this stuff, making sure that we remember how to do a lot of the stuff so that you have your best chance of being successful on this particular final exam. Okay? Y'all have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you later. Adios.